Well, I'm Brad with Hi-Fi Side. We're going to come back and do some videos again. We're going to show you how to do some budget builds with a big box store 3/4 inch shelving material that you get for $3.99. It's 8 foot long, really cheap material. Makes great budget speaker boxes. We do a lot of just the outside shell, and then we'll come in and put an MDF top or front and back on them. We'll do some other shelving that we get. It's 1/2 inch, which is about the same price as the 8 footer, but those are only on specials. With the 1/2 inch stuff is everyday stuff, and I think it's like $3.99 for a 4 foot chunk. You can cut all your bracing out of there. Pretty basic bracing. We'll show you some materials that we're going to use as far as paints and glues and the things that I don't use because they make a mess. Basically, this is what the cabinet will look like. Has an MDF front, routed holes, it's an MDF back, and then we have a particle board, sides, bottom. We got some particle board bracing in there. Just a nice budget build. So this is all particle board, particle side top, and then we have a poplar front baffle. Yeah, and then I'll be back and we'll show you some materials we're going to use. Obviously, we're going to use some Titebond 2, which I glue all the outer shell of the cabinet with Titebond 2, and then I use a urethane caulking basically, but it's construction material adhesive, and that's what I put my braces in with. I put the front and back baffles on with that. I really like it. It takes a little while to dry, but it is very strong. This is a material I used to use, but it makes a huge mess, so I don't use it no more. It does work good. This is hard. It's garbage. Okay. Moving on to materials, we're going to use some cabinet coating. We'll use this on the back panel, around the port, and probably on the bottom. I do all my 18-inch cabinets with that. And I don't know what we're going to do for paint because I'm doing this as we go. I'm not doing the whole project, then making the video, and we might use spray paint. We'll use Rust-Oleum. We'll put some 2K clear over it. This is a 2K epoxy that would go under the paint. We might do it that way, or we might use the new Sherwin-Williams Gallery Series. Now this doesn't get very shiny. This only goes to semi-gloss, which I'm not a semi-gloss fan. I either like satin or flat, or very shiny. Semi-gloss to me looks like a really bad paint job. There's that. This is the glue Titebond. I put it in a $1 ketchup bottle. We'll be using some terminal plates. This is a 6-gang one, so you could do woofer, mid, and tweet. And do your prototyping on your crossover, and then you'd take that one out and you'd put your 2-gang in, put your crossover inside the box, and that's what we're going to do. We got a 4-gang one too we can use for drivers. We're going to use the new Midwest Audio Club MAC-05. This is a 5-inch aluminum cone mid-woofer. It's very cost effective and it measures very well. Low distortion, and our baffle will be for any of these tweeters. Any 4.12 inch tweeter, which they're all the same. All got the same size faceplate. We're just some water-based 2-part body filler. We're gonna do some cherry I got some old, let me get it out first. I got some old doors off of my cabinets at home that we put new doors on, obviously. I'm gonna take this, we're gonna cut these out, and these will go on the sides of our cabinets, and we'll have like a cherry outside finish. Just on the sides, the fronts and back will be painted, the top will be painted. So we'll do that and we'll kind of recess them in, glue them on. Show you how I glue this wood to something solid, and hopefully it doesn't move. We're gonna start to assemble our cabinets, and you can see here that I already assembled this top, bottom, and one of the sides. And that way I can put all my bracing in. But before we do any of this bracing, I wanted to talk about the particle board wood that we're using. And I know a lot of people are gonna be crabby because I'm using particle board and it ain't gonna sound good. And our cabinet just needs to be solid. Our speakers are what's gonna make the sound. This is the Pilot. Some of you know what this is. Some of you have seen it on the internet. This is all particle board. This is all 1/2-inch particle board that goes this way, and this is a piece of 3/4 and a piece of 3/4, front and back. The only thing I don't like about particle board is when you're doing these cutouts, sometimes you got to use some body filler around those because particle board's got bigger chips of wood, so it'll kind of chip out here and there. So you got to really harden that up with some body filler around there. But otherwise, it works great. Okay, we're going to do some close-ups here so I can show you what our CNC did. And then we just do a little test fit. We'd have to pre-drill these holes, but that's fine. It's nice and flush. That's the back. Okay, and all I did was I used flush trim router bit. I used the smallest one. I think it's 1/4 inch, maybe they call it something else. And that way I can get in a lot tighter holes and tighter little spots. And that cleans up all them edges in here. All of that. Take a little sandpaper, run around there because it gets a little furries on there. And then I 45'd, use a 45 bit, and I do the back, chamfer that out. So sometimes if the driver, got the driver right here, some of these drivers only have so much space right here for it to breathe out this cone, but this one actually is pretty open in the back. But we chamfered it anyway because it's a good thing to do. So. And that's it. Let's test fit them. Yeah, got a little room. That's what I want because we're going to paint this. So I want that primer to be able to go down in there and still have some room to do something. So yeah, there's that. We're going to get started building the cabinets. All right, so off camera, I glued the ports in. These are 2-inch diameter by 5.5, which the F3 will be right around 53 Hertz. Should be pretty good for 5. And then I glued them in with a super glue from Harbor Freight. You can buy like 3 of these for 99 cents, which is cheap. Then I used the router to round it over to give us a nice little round over on the way in. And we'll set this up for gluing into our cabinets. So basically is what that's gonna be. It's gonna be kind of like that, right? This is the backboard, which I have routered a recess into there so it catches that port, like that. And then that will all be in there. Here, just like that. We'll glue this back there, glue this in, we'll glue this board in here, like that. Then we're ready to go. And I'll do that off camera. You don't need to sit here and watch me glue things. This big tube of glue PL3X. It's the premium construction adhesive. That's the stuff I like to use. And then we put a little dab of super glue. Once we get that glued, we dab the super glue right on the end. We give it a little air and it'll dry. Then that way it can stay, it can dry. We ain't gotta put no screws in nothing. We ain't gotta put no clamps on anything. Okay, it's been about probably 7 minutes. We got one cabinet glued in. We use this as a template. We put that up here. And then we clamped it with clamps here and here so it stays in place. And then that's how we set this. Which I'll go through some ports here after we glue this other one up. You don't have to use these ports. It's stuff I had laying around. You can use just a slide-in port from Parts Express or Meniscus or Matasound or anything off eBay. Something you slide in, you glue it, you're done. I like doing it this way because I wanted to support up here anyway. And then to set this one, we used the front of this and we did the same thing. We clamped it on the sides here and we set it. We made some marks in here where that needs to be and in here. We used the dab of super glue right here on the back and a couple just right here on the sides, and that will sit. And then we can put our other side on like that and we'll glue it. We'll be ready. This will probably use PV or Tight Bond, and then here we still use our premium. Otherwise, Tight Bond runs down the side and it gets all over everything. And I'm sorry, I'm a little neater than I look to be neat. Here's some of the ports we're talking about. So this is a 1.5 inch by 4.5 inch. It's got a nice flare to it. We'll sink it right in the box, glue it, and you're done. Here's another one. I think this is a 1 3/8 by 6 or something like that. These are just a plastic. This is an adjustable one, so you can adjust your tune, your port length, your box tuning, and then once you get it, you can just put some glue around there and then put tape around it or glue it, the whole thing. And then this one's got screw holes so you can actually pull it out and then glue it. And then you got the precision port, which has a big flare to it, and I think that goes up to 11 inches or something long. Put all these little things together, and that's the end. So yeah, or you can just use PVC, which is sometimes the cheapest way, unless you find some of these on clearance. All right, we're back. It's been about 6 hours since I glued the sides and the bracing on the inside. We ain't gonna beat it around, so it should stay in place. We're going to put the front and back baffles on, and I'll probably just use a couple pins, which would be brad nails, on the back, and then the front we don't put pins in because I don't want those to ever shrink and see those. So I'm gonna do that off camera again. I was just giving you a quick update, and then we will come back and trim router all of the edges and get it nice and square. And then we'll start to cut our cherry wood for the sides, get everything mocked up, ready, and then we'll do some finishing. Well, we have finished gluing the front and rear baffle on, and we used the premium construction adhesive that we talked about before. Then we're going to router it with a flush trim router bit. Get them all nice and smooth and straight. And then we have to, this will be our pieces that go on the side. And I discovered that I only got about an 1/8 inch of mess up room. So that means the blade that when I run it through the saw, It's gonna have to be perfect because the saw blade is about 1/8 inch. And then I seen that we have a little ridge on the back here. So I'll have to run that through the planer and try to plane that down to this. That way it sits flat. But those were free, so we're gonna use them. And then on the top, I think we'll probably use the Formica way that I did a few years ago on YouTube. I Formica'd this top, and then that way these lines here won't telegraph back through, because you need something to bridge across to all of them. You can put body filler on them, you can put any type of Wonder Juice you think you got, those will telegraph again. You have to bridge across them, it has to be a hard layer. I'm gonna take the cabinets into the other room, we're gonna router them. All right, before we get started on gluing these, we got our cabinets routed, everything's flat, it's square. We want to hand sand and just make sure we have no pieces of glue sticking up, anything that's uneven. And as we sand, we just making sure it's flat. We're keeping this flat. We don't want to flip over the edge, because around this edge and then gluing this stuff down, there's going to be a hole under there. And you don't want that, because this stuff won't bend once you get it on there. It needs to be flat. And this is just a piece of MDF. I've had this for years. I just keep putting sticky back paper on it, or you can wrap the paper on, fold it up, and staple it. Yeah. Yep, we'll do that to both cabinets. Then we'll blow them off good, and then we'll start to put our Formica on. Cabinets are sanded. Got them as flat as we need. We didn't have anything that we needed to fill. Got my, this is what I use for contact adhesive. I do a lot of inside of cabinets and stuff. So I use a lot more than weld block, like buying gallons of it. I just buy 5 gallons of the 3M. This is a little paint kit I get from the dollar store. I think they're like $1.25. Comes with a little paintbrush, roller, and one of those. I usually spray all my stuff, but we won't get into the sprayer stuff yet. As far as what I use for sprayers, that will be another video. We'll go over a couple sprayers that I like, the ones that I think that most people shouldn't live without, because of, if you do a lot of DIY stuff, they are great. There, cover up your fingerprints. Oh, just do that. And we'll spread it around. You want to make sure it's thick enough so it's got almost like a little pad underneath. So. Okay, we'll be back. Well, looks like our glue is dry. Ain't sticking to our hands or making a mess. This is a laminate roller. You can use a rolling pin or pretty much anything just to stick it down. And like I said, this one is not going to be, we're just going to make sure we have it that it's covering. And press it on. Yep. Come around and get the edges good without breaking them off. So the other way I used to do it would I'd put PVA on each one, and that'd be like tight bond on this, tight bond on this. Let them dry till they're to the touch, and then you can put them on there. You can move it around, and then you take an iron and you heat that up, and when it reheats that glue, it makes it bond again. That's a good way too, but I wanted to do it this way. I wanted to try it this way, so I have not tried it this way before. So, yeah, we'll do that, and then we're just gonna come in and use a flush trim bit. We're gonna router the edges. We're gonna let them dry for a little bit, and then we're gonna glue on our sides. Well, we got the edges routed, nice and flat. We're gonna take our sanding block. We're gonna just go with it. We don't want to go up because we might catch that. We don't want to do that. We just want to take this sharp edge out of there. And maybe any little like overspray or little drip edge or anything that we got there. We want to get that off there. So. And when you come over and around that, it doesn't sand like you think it will. So. There. That's that. Now we'll fit our sides. All right. Well, we're getting ready to, I think we're just gonna glue these on. You can come in and put like T-nuts and stuff in here and screw it. So then that would screw, then this would be able to kind of move around or shrink and do this and that. But I think if we glue it all the way to the edge, pretty much to the edge and not squish it out, I think it'll be just fine. Okay, so if you see here, I just put a thin beads here of this right here. We're just gonna knock it down. Hey, I just got some on my hands. Okay. So we're gonna make sure it's flush back here and at the bottom. Because up here we're gonna put a round over on it anyway. So if it hangs over a little bit, it ain't gonna matter. And this is I think they call it like naughty cherry. So it's got some knots, little black spots in it. So we can use this. I got short ones in here. I got 1.25 inches in here. So we'll just kind of put a few random ones here and there, and then we'll fill them in with a little blackish brown type of wood filler. Then that will just look like some knots that are here and there. We could clamp it and let it sit and do all that. Trying to find a spot. Here's a knot already. We'll just put one right in that side of that knot. Okay. Now we're just gonna flip it over, do the other side, and then we'll clamp it really good. Clamp it good. Now we'll leave that sit. We'll move on to the next one. And then we'll probably leave these sit for about 24 hours. Then we'll come back, router it all, sand it. Well, it's been about 24 hours since we have glued these sides on, and we took clamps off. We took a razor blade and we went along the edges and got any glue that was sticking up. We're gonna take these cabinets and we're gonna make them all look like this. So we're gonna get all of this old stain and coating off. I don't know if it's varnish, polyurethane or what, but we're gonna clean them all up. Then we're gonna run them through our router table, and we're gonna put a 1/2 inch round over on this end right here. And then we're going to do a 22 degree, I don't even know what they call that, but anyway, we're gonna do a 22. That will be like this, so it'll almost look like it runs right into this raised panel here. And we're gonna do it on this table. That way, if something happens, we can get away from the project. If you have that router in your hand and something happens, you still have that router spinning and you've got to get out of there. Well, that didn't go exactly like I thought it was gonna. The router bit's not tall enough, so I couldn't reach up high enough to get that out of there. So I ended up just putting my saw blade on my table saw at 22 degrees, and then I slid it through there nice and easy. I was just afraid of this getting ripped out of there when it comes across there. The only thing I have a little tear out is right here, but I think we can fix that. I didn't get no tear outs nowhere else, which is good. Everything's sanded with 220, and we're ready. We're gonna put some seal on it, some seal coat. We're just gonna do the cherry. If we get some on the other stuff, I don't care, but we're gonna really seal up that cherry so we don't get any type of, if we get primer on it, that primer will soak into those pores and then we can't get it out of there, and you'll have little gray spots or whatever color primer you're using. So we don't want that. We want to seal it up with this, and then that way we can, and then tape will stick to it too, because we're gonna tape this off and then we'll paint this, pull that tape, and then we'll just clear the whole thing, I think. All right, now that we have our sides sealed up, and one of them pencils that you get from Minwax or whatever, and I fill in the holes, and then I take a block with a paper towel around it and I block them off so they stay straight, because if you use just paper towel, you'll get in there and you'll just have to keep filling it and keep filling it. So just use a block and it comes right off, and then I sealed over the top of it one more time after I filled them, and we're ready. We'll come back with some 320 and scuff them before we tape this off and we start to do some primering. But we have to fill some of these little holes here. We got some nail holes from our brad nailer from putting this together. We should have 4 on the back on both cabinets, and there might be one here and one here, because it wanted to move on me and I didn't want it to keep moving. So I'm just going to use a little filler, and this is just something that I came up with, which will be available in the months to come. And we put this in there because it gives us good adhesion. You usually want to go one way, scrape it, and then do it again. You'll have to get the air pocket out of there. I think that's going to be it, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about all this primer that's sitting in front of me here, and some of the primers that we'll use and some of them that you should just stay away from. Let's talk about some primers. I have a few primers here. I still probably have some at home that I was using over the summer to do whatever I was doing at home. We'll start with the home type of primers, like Bins. That is a alcohol-based primer, and I would have to say out of these 3, this is probably the better one. It sands nice, it sprays nice, but it's about $71 a gallon or 72 bucks a gallon, so it's not very cost effective. This is around $40, $50 a gallon. It sands pretty good, but this is an oil-based, so you get weird things with oil-based, and this here is pretty much like this. It just doesn't sand as nice, but it is a little cheaper, even Sherwin-Williams is. Then we'll go to automotive. This is all automotive stuff, so this will have a catalyst to it or a hardener of some sort, which is much harder to spray. You're going to need ventilation for it. Different types of spray equipment. Like this you can put on with a roller, which works pretty good. This is a PPG product, which is a high quality product. I can't say I use much of it anymore. I used to use it a lot with motorcycles and cars and stuff back in the day, but I still have some left over, so I thought I'd get it out. This is more of for plug molds and stuff like that, for fiberglassing type of stuff. If you're gonna make a plug, or you have to finish a mold of some sort, that's what these products are for. Then we have this household shellac primer. That's the same as this one over here. It's just in a spray can. And to me, the spray cans work better than the gallons do. I don't know if it's the aerosol they put in it. This works good. This brand in a gallon can is terrible. It does not sand, it doesn't do anything. I can't get it to do nothing. Okay, we'll move on to some automotive type of primers. This is a 2K primer. They also make a filler primer. This is an epoxy, but this is has a hardener. You slap this and then the hardener flies in there and you shake it and then you can spray it, but you only have limited time. It's kind of expensive, around $25 a can, but it works great. It is very superior product. This, garbage, don't buy it. It's a sandable duplicolor. It doesn't sand, it doesn't fill, doesn't do anything. That's Krylon primer. It's junk, throw it away. Don't even know why I kept it. It's no good. I bought these three the other day because our local store has a 15% off if you can shove it in a bag, right? So I figured, well, I'll try these. These are junk. This one's the sandable primer. It doesn't sand. All it does is plug paper. This is a filler primer. It doesn't fill or it doesn't sand. It's garbage. And this is a primer sealer, which I can pretty much figure if those two are garbage, this one's probably garbage too. And I haven't used it yet. We'll get around to it. This is an auto body. This is in this category, but it's just a spray can, so you can just spray it. It doesn't have a activator or nothing. This is really good stuff. It works great. It's about $20 a can, but it is far superior than any rattle can that's here except for the 2K one. I mean, it is very, very good. This is the darker one here. I don't know if you can see those. But this darker one is this one, and then these two junk ones here are these two, and they just don't sand. All they do is plug the paper. This sands very nice. And then we're gonna go over the sealers that we used on the sides here. I use this sealer because I really like it. It's a shellac-based sealer, and I mean, you'd probably put denatured alcohol or something in it. This one is brand new. I haven't used it yet, but we'll get around to it. This is a water-based one, which I don't like it. I wouldn't use it again. This is basically this. This has amber in it, which I use on some projects. And then this is a spray can. This works really good. I use this on a lot of router jigs that I have. I have a jig, and I'm gonna keep that jig around. I use this shellac, and I'll spray paint the edges, and it hardens that edge up so I can run that router bearing on it more and more and more, and it doesn't wear it out. That's what I use the rattle can for. I think that's about it. So I would stick to better products to turn out better things. This is all automotive. That is this primer here with the automotive base coat and automotive clear coat on the top. Now it's time to tape. We're going to tape off our cherry wood here. I'm going to go over a couple different styles of tape, and then we'll get to taping. This is a Menards brand. Basically any big box store. It is cheap. It doesn't even have a name. Don't use that for taping when painting. The paint will soak through there, and then you'll leave glue all over the place, and then you have to try to get that off. Don't use that stuff. This is a what's this called? Oh, Pro Tape. It's a PMT 34. I think I get it from Napa or like an O'Reilly's. It's good tape. Yellow usually indicates it's for waterborne. That's the type of wax or whatever it has on the outside. I don't know actually what they put on it, but it's pretty good tape. And I put a lot of my tape in a bag because when you throw them down like that, the edges get all dirty. And then when you go to tape that off, you got dirt hanging in there. And then next thing you know, you're painting and you got all this dirt falling in your paint. So I put mine in a plastic bag, and I don't ever really set them down. I always set them on the plastic bag. And that way they won't get dirty. This already has a bunch of stuff all over it. Okay, so we got green tape. This is pretty high quality tape. It's a 3M product. This is a 1/2 inch. This is 3/4. This is 1/4 inch. And then we have a plastic fine line tape that is 1/8 inch, or probably 3/16 this might be. This is a plastic. This is probably, we're not gonna use it on here. This tape, most people ain't gonna buy, unless you're doing a lot of custom type of painting. This tape is nice to have around. This is the 1/4 inch tape. And then any of these two tapes are great for taping off any type of wood paneling and then painting or primering on the other side. So just any good tape from like O'Reilly's or Napa or AutoZone in their automotive section usually works good. We're going to use a 3/4 inch tape because that's pretty much what everyone else is going to be able to buy. The 1/2 inch tape, you're going to have to, like I said, get it at an O'Reilly's or something. So, and then we're just going to follow this edge. We're going to turn the corner and follow this edge. And then we'll just tuck it over, and I'll show you how to do the other side. So I'm going to try to do this so you can kind of see what I'm doing here. I'm kind of backwards on my taping, but just barely on that edge. We get to here, we're just tapping it down with our finger, pulling that up. Now we just let that flop over there. And then this, we just let that flop there. And we're going to tape this edge. We want to overlap the edge. I'm trying to stay out of the camera way here. Okay. And then we overlap it. We want that to overlap because that's going to be our line where we're going to cut it. Out of there. And I just use a pretty cheap type of razor blade. I don't get into fancy stuff anymore. So then I just follow this. I follow this tape line. It leaves a nice mark on this tape line. Sometimes you got to get up close. So just that. You're gonna pull that off. It's a straight line. And then this already has. You can do what you want here. Don't press because you're gonna bite into that wood. So that's why I always kind of pull that tape up and then cut it off, and not against the wood because you'll leave marks in the wood. Then we just get any type of paper. I have some leftover auto body paper, but you can use magazine paper. Works the same. Your favorite magazine, and then you can. Yep. Then we'll just tape those edges down. We'll tear off what we don't need here and tape that down. Make sure tape goes to the edge, not the paper to the edge. And you can use thicker tape. I'm just using this stuff because it's what we have sitting right here. And then we got there. Yep, make sure them are down. There. Now we'll do the other side, and then we'll come back and we'll spray some primer on it.